arise on the matter of the ban of maize exports to Kenya, and also update Parliament on what government has so far done since the ban. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members of Parliament, as you may all have seen from Friday, 5th March 2021, social media was awash with an internal communication by Kenya banning the exportation of maize by Uganda and Tanzania to Kenya. We have hitherto not received any formal communication to that effect, as stipulated by international trade protocols that both Uganda and Kenya subscribe to, which require any country imposing such measures to inform her trading partners. Despite not having sent any formal notification, unfortunately the ban is already in effect. According to Kenya, they allege that the ban is that the test results revealed high levels of mycotoxins that are consistently beyond safety limits. They further allege that particularly aflatoxins and fumonisms are known to be carcinogenic, that is, causing cancer. However, no such test results have been shared with our competent authorities, such as the UNBS, for verification. Maize is another Ugandan product that Kenya has essentially banned from getting into their market. As we all know, the other products are milk, specifically targeting the Lato brand, sugar, poultry and poultry products. In addition, Kenya imposes a 35% excise duty on LPG cylinders manufactured in Uganda in contravention of Article 15 of the Customs Union Protocol. There have been engagements in sugar, and they allowed us to import 90,000 metric tons, and they released only 20,000. And then poultry, they would release and ban, release and ban. So these are the challenges that we have. But Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members of Parliament, I chaired an interministerial meeting this morning to forge a way forward with my colleagues, the Minister of Finance, Honourable Kasaija, Minister of Agriculture, Honourable Sempija, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honourable Riem, East Africa, Honourable Maganda, and my colleagues in the Ministry, Honourable Rika and Honourable Gume, and also the High Commission of Kenya, to Kenya. And we resolved as follows. Number one is for us as government to formally raise concern with the government of Kenya over their failure to follow laid down procedures of communicating with measures under the EAC, such measures under the EAC. Already there are high-level engagements involving both presidents, the President of Uganda and President Uhuru. Next week, we intend to hold a joint interministerial meeting between two governments to address this issue of maize and other non-tariff barriers at the border, both with Kenya and ourselves. We will put in place an administrative measure that allows only UNBS or Maize certified grains and cereals to cross the border or circulate in the domestic market. Normally, if there are such cases of standard verification. KNVS normally informs UNVS if there is any irregularity or irregularity, but this time there was no communication of that kind. The ministry will be consolidating the alternative markets, just like we've been doing with DRC and African Continental Free Trade Area. And then we are also encouraging and supporting the formation of cooperatives to undertake self-regulation. So, Right Honourable Speaker, as I conclude, and honourable members, I want to assure you of government's resolve to get to the bottom of this matter. We'll use all available options to resolve the matter and to address the issues that concern Uganda as well as those that concern Kenya, the EAC institutions such as the Council of Ministers, the EAC Court of Justice, and if possible reciprocal measures. In the Council of Ministers in Arusha, this issue has been very high on the agenda all the time, but we regret that Kenya has not been too responsive. I beg to rest my case, Right Honourable Speaker. Same story.
Honourable Minister, what will it take for this government to actually reciprocate? What will it take? The eggs, the milk, the chicken, the sugar, the maize, and you're still, Oh, no. No, the maize is from all over the country, it's not just Kampala.
Yeah, thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Minister for the information that she has just given us. And I want to thank this House for being concerned about what has happened in the neighboring countries. Madam Speaker, we appreciate we are a landlocked country. And I'm wondering the kind of relationship that we have that is making us suffer as a country, which the Minister has just alluded to, that they are going to try with every means possible, even through the Council of Ministers, through the East African Court of Justice and the rest of it, to resolve this matter. Madam Speaker, this African community, what are we up to? We have members of parliament up to that level. We have minister for East Africa. If there be any issue, why don't these people come and then they sit at that level? It is we, the local people, who suffer. Maize, for example, our people produce a lot of it. Kenya people, Madam Speaker, if I might tell you, their people come up to the local village. They go up to the extent of buying even nuts or cassava from the gardens, and we are free with them. But the kind of imposition that they're putting on, the ban that they're putting on Uganda is also painful. I want to implore the Minister of Agriculture that yes, everybody suffers that aflatoxin. We equally don't want to eat such. Can we help Ugandans on the issue of post-harvesting? What is it? Can we put our house right and we see how these things are going to happen? But now on milk, what has milk done that they don't want to get? The other time it was sugar cane. We had to talk on the floor of Parliament. The other time it was whatever. So please, we are calling upon the neighboring countries that let them have the heart of oneness, East Africa. We allow them in hospitality business, Madam Speaker, hotels, most of them in Uganda here, they are in our hotel business. We take them, but they're not willing to take our people. I think that is not okay. Please, Minister of Agriculture, do the needful, but also Minister of East Africa and also the Minister of Trade, please. Our people are suffering. Maize has now come down to 300 to 200,000. What is the benefit of what we are harvesting in this country? Thank you so much.
That the inspectors, agriculture inspectors at the border, who clear the items. Why is this happening? The phytosanitary inspectors.
We need about 1,000 inspectors, but we have so far 85 from 30 that we had before we put in place a new inspectorate department. That is one, right, Honorable. So we don't have enough numbers to man all our borders and the airport 24 hours. But that one will be handled. We have already discussed it in the government. But the biggest problem now, to answer your question, Honorable, the Kenyans, our brothers and the sisters from Kenya, have been going right to the village, to the remotest village in Uganda, to buy grain, or to buy maize, to buy other cereals, all cereals. By the way, it is Ugandan food that has really fed our brothers and sisters there for a long time. Now they come with the Kenyan registered trucks. And the protocol is that there is, the East African protocol, community protocol says that free movement of goods and persons. So they are free to reach there, they buy and cross without going through, since it is on their trucks, they easily cross, without going through the UNBS. So Right Honorable, that is why we decided today, this morning, that we are not going to allow in the future any grain going out or even sold within without being certified by our UNBS and the Maize inspectors. So that is what has been happening. They have been doing it to their advantage. Now that they have a bumper harvest to the other side, we know what they are doing. They are protecting their own.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members. Stopped at the borders, but the trucks were stopped deep inside Kenya, in Nakuru. So we are getting confused because, like you said, we have inspectors, we have UNBS at the border points. But this is a situation where the trucks entered Kenya, reached Nakuru, and they were stopped by establishing the roadblock. That's what's confusing us, Right Honorable.
Right. Our brothers and sisters from Kenya must realize that as East Africans and as Africans, we must work together towards the challenge of being sucked up by those from other areas. And that's why we are in the East African Federation. And we must live with that sense of brotherhood. Since 2019, Uganda has fallen victim of these blockades, which have cost Uganda's economy over $500 million. That is over 1.9 trillion shillings. And this is tactical. Reason, we do not sit down with our businessmen on regular basis to understand what others do tactfully. Our brothers from Kenya should explain that today it's the maize. What was wrong with our cement? What was wrong with our eggs? What was wrong with the milk? What was wrong with the steel? There is something that is fishy.
The gas cylinders.
And the gas cylinders. The reason for the gas cylinders was the shift of the factory from Kenya to Uganda. And the issue was, if you've left Kenya, we shall retaliate. Because the gas issue is a big cartel. It must be controlled by certain people from other borders. The same has begun with maize. Now, with the bump harvest in Kenya, the issue is simple. Post-COVID, they were very clear. We need to follow the policy statements of the ministers on the other side of the aisle. They clearly said, we are moving in for protectionism. So they must protect because the supply is high and the price of Uganda's maize was relatively low. Definitely they were bound to lose. Remember, they import over $100 million in form of maize from Uganda. And in this case, it was grains. And these grains were clearly checked. And they have not given proof to the effect that the maize that they impounded was actually contaminated. And the case, that's why the question should have been, we did not rise up and stand our ground when it happened to chicken, to poultry. We did not stand up for milk. We did not stand up equivocally for cement and for steel and for gas. Now it will continue because there is a game, and I've always told you, this game started when there was an alliance between Tanzania and Uganda in the construction of the pipeline. And this has been targeted. But our colleagues should come out and clearly say, yes, because Uganda was meant to sign with Kenya and it switched to Tanzania. That's why even the blockade is targeted. It's targeted not only to Uganda, but also Tanzania. How is it by coincidence that the maize from both Uganda and Tanzania was contaminated? This is the biggest frustration of the East African Federation that we are having. We should not accept that people come from across the border and work here freely, and we only fold our hands as our products that we are producing cannot go to Kenya, in effect affecting our balance of payment sheet against Kenya. We have a blockade in Rwanda. We now have a blockade in Kenya. This is frustration. We appeal to our honorable brothers. The current chairperson of the East African community is Ndugu Uhuru Kenyatta. He should understand that Kenya produces a lot and we provide market. But also Uganda should be given chance to have market in other economies. So this time we should stand up and lay the ground. Our president, the president of this republic, must stand his ground. These issues of deal-darling must stop. We are letting in everything, and what we have in surplus cannot be taken over by other countries. This is not a fair way to trade as a family. Right, Honorable Speaker, as I wind up, grains like we are talking about, we must also create a fund for these eventualities. We've now realized that our colleagues might not necessarily be happy with our progress and might not be reliable in future. But what will you tell the farmer who is banking on their produce today that is 400 shillings? Now, in the short term, let government intervene and say, yes, we shall procure your maize at 600 shillings and store it. For instance, the older the crop, according to grain, the more the price. The older the crop, storage, because the moisture content is always lowered by the age of the crop. In form of maize, the older the crop, the higher the price. So the short-term intervention that the ministry should do, other than engaging our brothers, if they stand their ground, then let's intervene by trying to help and, bail out our farmers by buying at the price that it was, at least 600 shillings, so that we cushion them. We cushion them from the losses. That's why before we had the marketing boards, we had that security, the grain, the fund to secure our farmers. We must do that immediately so that we cushion their losses. And that is why governments are there. As we are negotiating, let's cushion their losses. Because you can imagine within 2 days, some people had borrowed and invested over millions of dollars to purchase this maize. And the volatility of the market will lead to unreasonable losses. We must do an intervention as we call upon our brothers to stop this behavior. Thank you.
the day cannot be solved by mere speeches, except by blood and iron. But the blood and iron I'm talking is not maybe getting guns. Tit for tat should be a fair game. Right Honorable Speaker rubbed my shoulder and I rubbed yours. Yesterday, our colleague, the senior smuggler, Honorable Macho from Busia, brought very nice proposals. And I was expecting the minister, in her submission, to tell us if we should go ahead and adopt these proposals immediately, because she has not addressed the short-term measures that we can apply to our farmers from Uganda, farmers from Uganda, who have already supplied and have made losses. Right, Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, adding on prayer for Honorable Macho, Honorable Chemtai had a very nice prayer. Right, Honorable Speaker, I don't see the essence of singing the East African anthem if that marriage is not yet useful to us. I would also propose that on top of the other proposals, the East African anthem, we can postpone it till further notice. I thank you so much.
It's a very serious matter, deserving serious questions. But first of all, I'd like to say that I'm surprised by the minister's presentation, because she says they'll be raising concerns with the Kenya so that they get the formal communication. But I wonder what better communication can it be than returning 150 trucks of maize. But Madam Speaker, I have an anxiety. I'm a bit anxious that whereas it's a very serious matter that we are dealing with, we should be careful not to overreact in a way which will aggravate the matter. And my prayers are two. One is that we need to allow government an opportunity to see what can be achieved with the formal communications that they are trying to get. But on the other hand, we need a formal hearing on this matter by our committee so that they can present a report to us, which will be very well considered with all the issues around it. And then we can discuss it. But there is also a more serious issue that the ministers have not responded to, although there is a mention that there is a check on the grains that are going out. It's a well-known fact that the way we store, the way we handle our harvest, the way that maize sometimes is harvested, that if you badly handle it, for instance, if it is wet and then it is exposed to mold, that it can become poisonous, and that humans should not be taking it. And even it shouldn't be taken by cattle, by livestock. So there is a serious issue there of post-harvesting, which has to be handled. And these are matters which should be handled by a committee, and then it reports back to us. And then we'll have a very good discussion on it on the way forward. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Okay, actually, it seems there are a lot of members who want to contribute.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Honourable Minister for her submission. Although her statement is not convincing enough to build confidence in the hearts of Ugandans, the traders who are right now crying on the borders. Madam Speaker, the minister's statement, I would call it a workshop paper, because she came and really outlined to us how we should have ways to solve trade barriers concerning the East African Federation. But the matter that you called upon the Prime Minister to come and give a statement, Madam Speaker, was to find an immediate solution. In Kenya and Uganda, where I kept crossing when I'm young,
We had the proverb saying that the medicine of fire is fire. I believe that time is now for Uganda to talk loud and to talk with action, because the presentation of the Minister of Trade, who is representing the Right Honorable Prime Minister, this cannot solve the problems of the loans that people have got from banks, and maize is rotting on trucks. This statement cannot help at all to solve the problem of the transport costs that the vehicles and the transport companies are demanding from people. Therefore, we need a solution with immediate effect. I expected the minister to say the heads of states have started engaging, and we have moved at least a halfway of engagement, but there's no message of hope at all. The traders don't see hope at the end of the journey at all. That's why, Madam Speaker, I still believe our solutions of yesterday should stand. We should also, as Parliament, resolve and ban agriculture products that are coming from Kenya with immediate effect, so that Kenya can feel impeached. Because if an acting executive director of a country can write a letter, which the minister says it was a hearsay, the fact, if Kenya can give a hearsay on social media and they ban maize to go on social media, what did we call to be the cooperation of East Africa? That is foolery. That is a shame. Kenya should stop to be a big brother and a bully brother of other partners. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I expect the minister to come back, and I don't know why the minister gave this statement. We have the Right Honorable Prime Minister in the House, the senior head of government business. He is the one I expected to come and stand and give a statement, so that all the media houses say a Right Honorable Prime Minister of Uganda talked, not a Minister of Trade, because the speech and the statement of the Minister of Trade has been lamenting. The Minister of Trade lamented to annex, and she said, we shall go in the court, she lamented and said, we shall go in the East African courts of judicature, which means she has failed, and total failed. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I do suggest that the Prime Minister today in this August House, he must give a statement, so that to build his confidence in the Ugandan business community and the Ugandan farmers, because the other time, the same Minister of Trade gave a statement on milk. There was no change. The same Minister of Trade gave a statement on the poultry products. No change. The same Minister gave a statement on the sugar. No change. And it's the same lady who has come to give a statement. I don't know which miracle or which angel God can put in her so that things work. So I therefore pray that let the Prime Minister come and give a statement. Because whenever she gives a statement, Kenya is rewarded. When the poultry products were banned, the minister gave a statement. Kenny Chick of Kenya started exporting their chicks here, and Yuga Chick collapsed. When she gave a statement, the same minister, as I talk now, Ugandan milk was stopped to go in Kenya, and Kenyan Brookside Milk Company was registered here. It is buying milk at cheap cost and exporting. The same minister. So I don't want Honorable Minister, in the name of Amelia Chambade, to come and give another statement. Let the Prime Minister and the House come and speak, so that we know the senior and the most senior government Prime Minister who has been in all regimes of Uganda, from Obote 1, Obote 2, Amin 1, Amin 2, President Museveni came and gave a statement. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Now, Right Honorable Prime Minister, because we have been having these debates here, you come and tell us that you are going to meet with the Kenyans. From November, we have been addressing these issues. Up to now, the eggs are still banned, the cylinders are banned, sugar, milk, pork products, really.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Concerns of my colleagues who have spoken on this matter that I think is very serious. Madam Speaker, while I would want to treat this whole ban with contempt for the reason that members have stated, I think this ban also raises a very serious question. Aflatoxin is a form of poisoning, and if they are saying the level of test is so high, that probably suggests that Ugandans are dying. The minister is saying NBS, whatever, that
what does our test show? Have we verified on our side? Have we verified that what they are saying is true? The minister has not stated that. He is simply generalizing that. If the test is there and science is exact and it is a fact, and we are hearing that Burundi has actually also banned our maize, so, Madam Speaker, I think we need also to carry our own independent tests and confirm whether these allegations are true. Otherwise, the frequency at which these bans have come raises a lot of questions. For us, we are wondering whether actually these partner states are serious. We are hearing members of the East African Parliament crying about funding. Put your money where your mouth is. Are people really serious about this integration? So, Madam Speaker, as a way forward, I think that we need more answers to this. And at the end of the day, if our people are suffering, it's not really their problem. We need to help our people. The ministry needs to come out with a mechanism of intervention to try to help people who are making losses in this area. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. On aflatoxins and maize done by the BBC, safest with aflatoxin of 9.7 parts per billion. And Tanzania is at 48 and Kenya is actually the worst. So the justification for the ban might not be that, so the minister should be able to tell us what the reason is. Secondly, I was a little bit disappointed by the minister because I'm here and people in Bukuya are watching. You know, we used to go into gold mining and we are stopped. We started cultivating maize. Now there are problems. And the minister has practically not given any short-term solution and confidence to the person in Bukuya, because now what is happening is children are going back to school. We are selling our maize to earn a living, and somehow we have to sell it at 150 shillings per kilogram. We can't even recover anything which we invested. And the minister with her interministerial committee, they didn't address anything concerning the peasant in Bukuya. So I don't know what I'm going to take back there. She has actually advised that the farmers should form cooperatives, advising the farmers to form cooperatives now such that they do what? We have our maize, it is ready, we have been planting, and we have nowhere to sell, and the government cannot protect us. That is really disappointing. So the minister should give us something which we can take back to assure Ugandans that the government is caring for them. Where are the silos? We've been talking about this for the last 5 years. Where are the silos? There is nowhere we can keep our maize. Government should be able to provide at least 500 shillings in such circumstances for a farmer to take home. Finally, Madam Speaker, there is someone sleeping on job, because first it was the milk, then we went to the sugar cane.
The milk, then the eggs,
then the
chicken,
then
the pork products.
Very soon it will be the coffee we have been talking about. And there is market everywhere in the world. But they want me, a farmer from Bukuya, to wake up and go to Iraq and look for my own market. I'm a bit disappointed by the minister's statement. It lacks a lot. She should come back with more clarity and with answers to Ugandans, because the thing is building. Everyone is closing. Rwanda closed, Burundi closed, Tanzania is going to close, Kenya is closing. We have to run somewhere else, and someone has to think for the rest of us. And that is what I ask of the minister. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Over this matter, we are frustrated, we are disappointed, and therefore what we are doing is absolutely in order. I was here, Madam, yesterday, and I had contributions from Honorable Mbwate Kamwa, who said that this marriage we entered into was a bad marriage. Parliament can go ahead and move resolutions because it is a just cause. As I moved away yesterday, Right Honorable Speaker, I called the President to brief him about this very important matter. Fortunately, he had watched us, and before I told him, he told me what he has done. And I thought I should stand here and give this message. First of all, the president has already talked to his brother, President Uhuru, seriously. And the matter of just putting a ban without talking, like Honorable Media has indicated in her statement, was unfortunate. The president told me to remind this August House, as we get annoyed, rightly so, that the NRM, since 1980, has been championing Pan-Africanism to do away with borders. We are standing here talking about borders. Don't cross, don't come here. Yet the East African Federation was going to be the answer. The East African Federation cannot be done away with, because supposing we are attacked and we need support on security matters, supposing we need humanitarian support, supposing we need to work together to boost our economy, so the East African Federation must remain on course. So I am pleading to colleagues who are moving proposals indicating that after all we've been frustrated and been mistreated, we can do away with this marriage. This was the message, but I want to agree with the members who have spoken here that something has to be done to ring the loudest bell to our counterparts that we are aggrieved and we are frustrated. I beg to submit.
Honourable members, I also want to say you saw us on fire on this issue. But the issue of federation is important, but it's not going to solve the money issues in our pockets. Our people want solutions that will bring money to their pockets. Federation we shall handle when it comes. People want money in their pockets. Give us a solution. Is the government going to buy the maize and keep it? Is it what? That's what we want to hear.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can I?
Here and then there.
Okay. Thank you, Madam. The first time that we are getting humiliation from Kenya. And there are so many issues. The question that I would like to ask the Chief Whip is whether this talk is just beginning now, or in the first instance when it happened to the eggs, to the sugar, our government kept quiet. That is the clarification that I want to know. If indeed they talk, why is it that the fruits of the talk is not being seen on the ordinary people of Uganda? Then, Madam Speaker, I want to state that as a government, we should be having protectionist policies towards our people. Madam Speaker, protection policy should really start at two different levels. At that level that the Honorable Chief Whip mentioned, that brotherhood level where the presidents and presidents talk, but also as a ministry or as a government, I would like to know, how are we going to protect our people? Because, Madam Speaker, I come from Lango sub-region, and many of our people depend on grain. And, Madam Speaker, we have the middlemen who have been surviving on maize, and they have stocked a lot of it, and the prices have dropped up to 200, Madam Speaker. So what will the government do to help these people? Then secondly, Madam Speaker, we have so many farmers who had cleared acreage and acreages of land to plant maize. So I would like the Minister of Agriculture, in this case, to help us. Should our people continue with the maize farming, or because now the market, the largest market that we have been depending on, seems to be closed? So what should the farmers do? What should our people do? Because already they had prepared the land. And, Madam Speaker, we buy the maize seeds from Kenya. And when they bring their seeds here, we buy. And they even go up to the villages, Madam Speaker, to get whatever they want from our villages. And when it comes to our turn, Madam Speaker, we are being treated like like, I don't know, Madam Speaker, we are treated like children. We are not treated like partners, Madam Speaker, and yet we are in the East African community. Madam Speaker,
conclude.
Madam
conclude.
Speaker,
Conclude.
yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to look at it from the angle of people of Uganda having a government which is supposed to protect them in such instances, Madam Speaker. And if the government cannot protect us, then where else? Because this is not the first time, Madam Speaker. It has happened, and again, and again, and again. Before we know it, Madam Speaker, we shall realize that we have nowhere to turn to. By the way, Madam Speaker, this reduces us to a very undesirable level as far as our economy is concerned, as far as employment is concerned, as far as income is concerned. So, Madam Speaker, maybe today is not the right day, but we, as a country, we need a very serious and clear answer that will solve this problem, because we have a government which has been put in place. I want to thank you.
As I invite Honorable Chemtai, I've received a mail from the man of Lato Milk, Mr. Vagis, the milk. This factory is now at 15% capacity, causing unemployment not only in the factory but also to the farmers. It's here. He has just written to me now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. For children to go back to school, they need to sell the maize so that they get the money to take children to school. It's time for buying the farm inputs, seeds, fertilizer, and so on. They don't have the money. What are we going to do as a government? And that's what I expected the minister to tell us. This is what we are resolving. We also have an issue 2 years ago. I remember the Committee of Agriculture. I remember the Honorable Minister of Agriculture was there, and we budgeted money for silos. Every region was supposed to have a silo. This is the time now the government is supposed to buy maize from our farmers and store in the silos, so that when the time when prices stabilize, we sell back the maize to the farmers. And I believe the Honorable Minister will tell us what happened with the silos. We budgeted, we put the money there, and now there are no silos in the whole country. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
To these three, let's finish these three and then we concentrate here.
From the Kenyan market, which is quite unfortunate, especially that we're in the East African community. And I imagine, of course, like she rightly said, this contravenes the free trade agreement between these East African communities. But I think, Right Honorable Speaker, there are quite a number of lessons that we need to pick up from here. Could it be an issue of Kenya protecting its own market and its own farmers? That could be one. But if it is true, they are talking of aflatoxins, and according to what the information we are getting, it is quite poisonous for human health, for animals, if taken in large quantities. I think there is a message that we are picking here. I know in our communities, in our districts, we have extension workers. I think our farmers also need to be sensitized more about post-harvest handling. I know there has been a very big challenge there, and we don't need to take this for granted. At one point when we were procuring posho and maize for the COVID communities, I remember there was an issue that was brought here about the rotten maize that was being supplied. I think for the good of our people, if they are saying that if these aflatoxins are taken in larger quantities, it is a higher cause of, is it liver cancer or something of that kind. Issues of health, we don't need to take them for granted. We just need to see as a government, how are we going to improve on our standards? I know Kenya is already a middle-income country, and we're also moving towards that. We wouldn't wish that we sell anything anyhow, but we need to see how to sensitize our farmers, especially on post-harvest, so that we actually have standards at the region. Honestly, I know there is a lot in terms of losses for the farmers, but also that is why we are calling upon government. How can we rescue the farmers? Already a mistake has been made, but we need to rescue them in terms of buying from the farmers or providing an alternative for them, so that we do not suffer. In the region already, you are saying, yes, we have had this challenge. Burundi also has given a ban, which to me I want to believe there is something that is fishy. Either they are protecting their own farmers, and we as Uganda, we are not doing something to our own farmers. So I think we need also to either buy from them as a measure, a short-term measure for them to solve this problem. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable, 2 minutes. Honorable Angura, 2 minutes, then I come this side.
For me, we are not quarreling, but we are complaining because it is natural
If you don't complain, then you are not a natural person. Honorable Speaker, it is time, and this is the time. This is the time. This is the time. I thank you.
Get what is behind the banning of our maize in Kenya. Today, as I was coming from Masaka, I met very many trucks carrying something like a maize. I was forced to stop at the weighing scale station, and I found all these lorries, T865 stroke DEV, T968 stroke DHL, T965 stroke DHL, T49 stroke DES, T410 stroke DHG, T697 stroke DEB, T518 stroke DBE, TG and others. All of them were carrying maize. They were taking it to Kenya. So we should find out what is behind the banning of our maize from being sold in Kenya. It is not a bumper harvest. I refute that information, because if they had a bumper harvest, they wouldn't be exporting from Tanzania. My request, I request that the UNBS carry out investigations to find out if there is a problem with maize. It means that it is affect our children, because our best food in schools, it is maize. Let them do a thorough investigation to come out with a good report. 2, we request that the government should find a way of buying that maize from the farmers, because people need money. We've been in COVID, people are poor. Now, as I speak now, I have a school. We've been buying a kilo 700. Now they are selling 200 per kilo. It means that our people are going to be affected. The per capita income of the poorest is going to be below the poverty line. Lastly, I would like that we request our members in Yala to take it seriously, that they sit and present our case in Yala. Thank you very much.
Honorable Nambesha, thank you.
Barriers in the East African community, which have actually rendered the intra-regional trade a fiasco, a complete failure. But the $1 million question should always be, what is the motive behind the sustained actions of banning of whatever product that comes here from Uganda to Kenya? You can mention a whole list of them. It is because they are throwing a stone in stagnant water to see whether fish comes out or a snake comes out. We have remained very lenient and silent, even when these actually Kenyans come to, as far as Bududa, to buy bogoya in the villages. They buy all manner of agricultural products because we have a competitive comparative advantage in the East African community for having the best organic agricultural products. Now, what should be of urgency, which should be an emergency on the part of government, which I expected in the statement of the minister, should have been a bailout plan for over the 150 trucks which are stuck at the border. Madam Speaker, let me take you and members in the House down the memory line. You remember at one time when maize, we had actually a boom in the production of maize. We had a bump harvest. That was, I think, Madam Speaker, just a minute. 100 billion shillings
was committed, totally committed by the Ministry of Finance after this House approved. It was meant actually to procure the maize which was in excess, and this money instead ended up in their pockets and their accounts. Madam Speaker, this House should therefore demand for accountability for their 100 billion. Now, when I see the minister, my good friend, Minister of Agriculture, stating that we are now going to ensure that no grain leaves Uganda or is sold unless it is certified, I highly doubt whether they will implement this. Because even when His Excellency the President directed that there should be no grain, in fact, he must be also wondering. He has been the promoter of value addition and had directed that there should be no grains sold, maize, in its form unless it is converted, actually milled, packed, and sold as a portion. But you see, the implementation, I think, in Uganda is one of the policies that ought to be legislated upon. Okay. We have so many laws, but I think there should be another law on implementation, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Gwal, Leader of Opposition, close with the Honorable Cooper. 2 minutes, please.
We lamented on the issue of sugar cane. We lamented on the issue of the dairy products. Now we are lamenting about maize grain and maybe any other. Now, I think we have reached a point when we need a prescription. And in Lango, if your children keep dying, you are either asked to marry another wife so that you have children or something else. Now, what I have witnessed, which actually discouraged me, is a display of the government uncoordinated activities. The president gave his view, and one of the ministers had the information. The mainstream minister, the one in charge of the ministry, came without knowledge of what the president had said about the subject matter. So, Right Honorable Speaker, one of the issues we have to deal with is how do we cure the government persistent behavior of uncoordinatedness in the governance, and particularly on matters to do with the economy and the lives of the people. And secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, I'm very concerned because Uganda is a landlocked country, and it is important that we now prescribe to our dear partner that for now the government should come up with plan B. That number one, we will stop further import from Kenya until this matter is resolved. Just suspend, not doing the crude way the way they have done to us. And two, the government must come up with plan B on how we are going to deal with the maize which has already been in transit to Kenya, because that is incurring costs in terms of transport, in terms of damages and so on, so that we don't overhurt the people who are already bleeding with the COVID pandemic. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Awol.
Disaster preparedness, because this is an emergency. As it is an emergency, maybe the Prime Minister will answer this question. The most urgent, very urgent, is buying off this maize from the traders. One thing we must know, the more the maize grain remain in the lorries, the more expensive it is for the traders. At one time we say whenever we have bumper harvest, we should even buy and keep in silos so that in case of disaster, we have something in store. But in case disaster doesn't, come up, then we can also use it for stabilizing prices in the market. In times of scarcity, you then empty this in the market. And the resources there should continue to
to be in use, circulate. This is very unfortunate. We need these traders to be handled immediately by buying of their what? Buying of their grains. Then this diplomatic talk about what can continue later. We must love also our people, Ugandans. You see, in other sectors, when it comes to business, they say, foreign investors. And yet when we are elsewhere, it is as if we have 10. We must be. Let me just conclude by saying value addition is important, but as of now, we need our people to be helped and government should buy. We are not going to cry to Kenya, but we should also replicate. We should stop Kenyans' products from
areas against Uganda has been on this floor for more than a year. I don't want to believe that the government was not aware or that the president did not know. We even had a debate here and people and telling them not to continue with the NTF, not trade barriers. A resolution was taken here. Did the government not know? Did it reach the cabinet? Ministers were here. Now, our position is the following. We encourage you to continue talking, but you need to reciprocate as you talk. We need a reciprocal measure now as you talk. We also need action in the South African Court of Justice. This is a clear breach of the treaty. We have said it so many times, but no one has the courage to take this matter. Government does not want to take this matter up. No. So we want an immediate solution for the farmers. We want a midterm solution for the future. But we want to know what is our position in this community. Prime Minister. Sure that they care for the people of Uganda. Eggs dry, no market. The poultry, no market. The pork, no market. The gas cylinders, no market. The sugar, no market. The maize, no market. And you're still saying you care about Ugandans? No.
Remember, I told you that the principals were consulting at a high level, so it did not contradict the chief whip at all. And the protest note, we talked about that as well. And the fact that they have not written to us officially about this. It has been in social media, so we do not know the details. And another point I wanted to bring out.
But Honorable Minister, are you aware about the trucks at the border? That one you don't know?
But the trucks were Kenyan trucks. And please allow them, protect me, Right Honorable Speaker, yes, because I've allowed others to talk. These were Kenyan trucks, and they were stopped from Nakuru after they had crossed the borders. Yes, carrying our maize. But do we have also the purchasing power? Because if we say we disconnect from Kenya, do we have the purchasing power to procure this?
Really? But, honourable members, really, when will you take care of the interests of Ugandans?
This is right, Honourable Speaker.
These are diplomatic measures, just to increase the pressure.
Yes, we are increasing the pressure, Right Honourable Speaker, and we are actually meeting them. But are we allowed, through you, Right Honourable Speaker, the Prime Minister to say something?
Point of order. The ban on Ugandan maize entering Kenya. The minister is now saying Whatever we have been discussing is social media story. But that's what you are saying. There's nothing official. That's what you are saying. So, Right Honorable Speaker, is the minister in order to just listen to us talking about serious matters? And she says we are talking about matters which has appeared in social media. In other words, no substance to back it up. Right Honorable Speaker, is the minister in order to waste our time to sit here and cry for the people of Uganda up to almost 9 o'clock? Is the minister in order?
They were meeting. Please.
Right, Honorable.
The minister said they were meeting. I don't know what they were meeting about. If this industry, they met with the finance, with the foreign affairs,
yes,
with agriculture.
Right, Honorable Speaker. We met about the fact that this issue appeared in the social media, but there was no proper documentation on that matter, communication. But I do appreciate all the issues that have been raised here, and I've taken note, and we have to sit as cabinet to discuss those issues. Yes. But I'll leave, through the Right Honorable Speaker, I'll leave my boss to respond to that. Thank you.
Before the boss comes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. They bring the Irish in Uganda.
Should just give us 2 minutes of silence, or should also listen to others. I think that would be proper. But if we are talking, they are talking, then there is no need to talk. Yes.
Expected to talk.
Yeah, so we should respect each other. One, therefore, Madam, I do sincerely appreciate the contributions of colleagues. Since I've been quiet here, I've been listening, and I'm sympathetically really following. You are in a very awkward position. So please don't confuse issues. Don't bring past leaders. That's also a responsibility. Now, a general, before he declares or tells his soldiers to go to war, he must weigh. I must weigh the implications. For you say before midnight tonight. What would that mean? Midnight tonight, so I do what? Declare war on Kenya? What? What must I do? Ban what? And then what would you like to achieve? You see, Madam Speaker, I do appreciate sincerely, and I'm sympathetic with this situation. However, we need now opportunity. In fact, I wanted tomorrow, if I can get the only record tomorrow I will get is the Hansard of this meeting today, if it's going to be as fast as possible. Otherwise, what do I take tomorrow to the government? That this is, even if everybody had this discussion, with this, I can't do it because your decisions to some other issues you have raised. So ban this, okay. Or buy our coffee, our maize. These are all your requests you have mentioned here. And if we're going to say, buy the maize, how much is it going to cost? How much maize are you going to buy? And what is the impact of that? And so all this needs to be weighed. I believe, I'm happy, I'm glad that I even attended this morning, this cabinet today personally, because I'm not going to be told what has happened here. I have heard. and I should be able to present. Then we come back, Madam, with the resolutions, with our reaction here to tell you what is the position of the government. That is my position, and I think we need to be a bit sober. Thank you, Madam. Let me not spoil it.
Clarification. This one is now an emergency. We all know that it's already rainy season. Probably this maize is actually germinating, rotting somewhere. It is an emergency. Emergency does not wait for what? For those formal meetings. I would have loved to hear from the Right Honorable Prime Minister about, you have tasked me, I am going to start straight away, even on phone, so that maybe finishing, those other things will be finished tomorrow. But today you should put into your mind that you need to even consult with probably your boss and everybody who is important. You know that Minister of Disaster Preparedness should be part of this. And besides, this is maize, but we had many other things before. So this is not something which has started today. It started long time ago, and we have not received satisfactory answers from you. So, Honorable Prime Minister, you are a whole leader of government business. You need to inform us. Why don't you tell us the truth about this?
Thank you, members, to the Prime Minister. However, for our committee, I instruct the Committee on East African Cooperation to convene and examine Article 75(6) of the Treaty for East African Cooperation in relation to the ban on the eggs, on the milk, on the poultry, on the pork, on the sugar and maize, and see whether the Republic of Kenya is not in breach of the treaty and also not in breach of the customs union. We need an urgent evaluation of that so that will inform our next actions. Thank you very much, and members. House adjourned tomorrow at 2 p.m.